Hello, world. It's Robert Douglas. It's Friday. It's time for Deploy Friday, the live webcast sponsored by Platform SH, where I, your host, get the great honor of talking to amazing people in tech from around the world doing amazing things and sharing that conversation with you. Today, we have an episode that is inspired by one of my new teammates at Platform SH, who is Shadrach Akintayo, uh, who I'll be introducing shortly. And Shadrach joined us from Nigeria, and I just thought that is so fascinating. I know what my path growing up in the world of tech was like. I wonder what was his path and how is it the same and how is it different than what I experienced? And we talked together, and we Shadrach invited a couple of guests, and we're bringing to you today the topic experience panel, kickstarting an international tech career from Nigeria. So with that, let me introduce my guests. We've got Didion Asipo and Samson Gotti, as well as Shadrach Akintayo. And
Hey
guys,
guys.
I'm going to let you introduce yourselves, and I'm going to let you say your names in full, like for reals, with like not my pronunciation, because
Yeah,
these are
yeah.
these are all new names for me. Shadrach, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. Hey folks, happy to be here. My name is Shadrach Akintayo. I'm a developer relations engineer at Platform Message, and I'm happy to be here.
Awesome.
Cool.
Didion, you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Edidiong Asipo, but you can call me Didi if pronouncing my
Didi.
name is, yeah, very hard for you. Yes, I'm a developer advocate at Ambassador Labs, and I am super excited to be here as well.
Thank you. Samson.
Hi, everyone. My name is Samson Gadi. I'm the Director of Community at SourceGraph, and I'm the co-founder of Open Source Community Africa.
Fantastic. Co-founder of what kind of
Open Source
community?
Community Africa. It's a community called an open source community down here in Africa called Open Source Community Africa.
Wonderful. And so let's start with that. I would like to get a little bit more into that. So one thing to note right off is that the three of you are all, in a way, community builders and teachers and developer advocates. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. That's fantastic. And I
Yes.
saw on Didi's Twitter stream something to the effect of, if you want to learn something fully, teach it. Right. So that was a philosophy that I really appreciated right off. All right. So this is great because I get to talk to three people who have not only gone into a career in technology, but who have done it at the level that you feel inspired to reach out and pull other people in and usher them along their journey, whether it's for the specific company you're working for, or just in tech in general. So, Samson, tell us about that community. Who, is it? What do you guys do? What are your activities?
It's I would say just like any organization, it's something specifically focused for bringing people that are interested in open source. So originally we started sometime in 2017, and the goal was to have series of events within the continent and have specific conversations that has to do with everything open source. So we started really small, but now we're much bigger. And about I think about a year ago, I believe, or a year and 6 months, we did a big event called the Open Source Festival, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Open Source Summit or something related to that in the US, but we had something equivalent to that in Africa, which was great. Eddie Jonga and Shedak was part of it, and it was really awesome.
And how to
Yeah.
go? Was it a great success? How many people participated? And a year and 6 months ago, was it in person?
Close. Yeah, close. It was, I think it was just 4 or 5 days before the first case of COVID. So it was that close. It was that close. Yeah. Over 800 persons. It was really awesome because we got really great support from different companies and all that, which was great.
Where was it located?
Lagos, Nigeria. Yeah.
And are any of you currently there in Lagos?
No. Yeah, I'm in Lagos right now because I'm having a connecting flight, but I don't live in Lagos. But Shedrack does.
So
Yeah,
coincidentally, you're in Lagos.
yeah, exactly.
Nice. All right. And the company that you work for, what does that do?
So Sourcegraph, the easiest I would say is Google for Code. So basically, that we create tools that enable people to search for code. So basically, like imagine, um, when you're coding and you have some bunch of like, especially you want to understand things like code definitions or know, people using your code. So I think recently, I think the most cooler one I could say that you can easily try out is the Sourcegraph Cloud, which is having an idea of like indexing the whole open source universe in quotes, where you can basically search any repo between GitHub and GitLab by just in a single platform. So it's really awesome. You should check it
So if
out.
I search for "Hello World," I get a lot of results.
Yeah, you can search Hello World and you can filter based on language, so you can see what other people are doing in like JavaScript, Python, or other programming language. So it's pretty awesome. Yeah,
I
kind of
actually
like
did try
precise.
it. I did try
Yeah,
it, in fact, and
yeah.
I searched for some things that would indicate people are using platform.sh. Like
Mhm.
the file name is .platform.app.yaml, and it works. I found all
Yeah,
sorts of people who are using platform.sh that I hadn't found before. So,
yeah. You should
um,
check it out. Yeah.
so props to SourceGraph. You should check it out. The URL is there on the screen. We'll put it in the show notes as well. All right, thank you. Diddy, what? Tell me more about your current role in the company that you work for.
Sure. So I currently work for a company named Ambassador Labs. It is a Kubernetes focused company, and what we do is try to create tools that would help developers or people who build cloud native applications have a better experience. So from like tools like telepresence, which lets you connect your local development environment to a remote cluster, so you can literally test your service and do integration testing like immediately instead of having to like clone a cluster and run everything there, because sometimes really your laptop might not have the power to run like hundreds of services, right? And it could either make things very slow or not make things work. But then with telepresence, you can like literally connect to that remote cluster and like test out services, or check out how the bug fix you just fixed works perfectly. So that's like one of our tools. But anyway, in general, I would say that we try to create better experiences for developers that create cloud native applications.
Great, and just reading the website, it's very much focused on Kubernetes.
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what you said previously about maybe the laptops being underpowered means I need to turn my Bitcoin mining software off before I spin up my Kubernetes cluster. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
usually sometimes. I mean, you know that our when you like run a Kubernetes cluster stuff, right? You're still doing other things with your laptop. So you're like maybe looking at Twitter or like doing random things. So your the all the resources in your laptop is not just focused on that Kubernetes cluster, right? So it's like, okay, hey, take this one, so that person takes the other one. So instead of making things really slow for you or delaying the process, you can just connect directly to the remote cluster you're trying to test against, right? And then easily test the application.
And this is why you're a developer advocate because you've already made me want to try it.
Totally, you should. It's amazing, actually. Absolutely amazing.
All right, so I'm going to throw a couple. Shedrack,
Yeah,
I
sure.
kind of skipped you, but let's not skip you. So I know I know what a developer advocate at Platform SH is because I was one for a while.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
maybe you could describe what your role is at Platform SH now, and maybe also tell us what you did before because that's also very interesting.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I'll just start with before. So before I was the developer advocate at the Cloud Foundry Foundation, where I think we were working on an open source, platform as a service, right? That's basically what I was advocating for the platform, writing tutorials, trying to connect with the community and making sure that, everybody is using Cloud Foundry, right? So currently I'm at Platform Message. And of course, Cloud Message is a cloud host platform as a service that is awesome to use. It's pretty good to use. I mean, being in the platform as a service space for a while, I've been in the past space for a while. Using platform message was one of the reasons why I actually joined Platform Message, because I had actually used Platform Message before. So when I got the opportunity, I was like, yeah, sure, let's do this. I love the product. It was like really, really easy to use. Anybody can literally deploy. With the anybody can actually deploy their applications on Platform Message like as fast and as easy as possible. So what I do at Platform Message at the moment, I'm a developer relations engineer. I work on everything relating to our documentation, to our templates, to basically I just work to make sure that you and I can use Platform Message in the most easiest way and the most understanding manner as possible. That's basically what I do. That's how I like to describe what I do, because I have a number of things I do. So it's just really, really interesting to give a single line. Okay, I just make sure that our partners, our users can use Platform Message, can find documents that would make them use Platform Message as easy and as fast as possible. That's basically what I do. And overall, I improve developer experience by, making sure that if you need to deploy an application on Platform Message, you can do it as fast as possible and without cracking your brains too much. That's my job.
Awesome, you're hired. Oh wait,
yeah.
You're already hired.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to get into your individual stories a little bit. Let's go around and everybody can take a crack at just giving me the feeling like from the first time the urge to be like involved with computers to where you are now. Just give me the big arc. What were the major landmarks? Samson, do you want to go first and tell us your story?
Yeah, I would say I lost my childhood in a way because I was sort of like pretty influenced. I would say for me it was quite interesting because I think the peak was when I was watching the first Iron Man movie. I think, or was it the before? I'm not sure, but I know the first Iron Man movie got me really interested in robotics. Originally, it was robotics, right? So, and then I started doing some research about the character, and then I knew, oh, that character went to MIT, and that's how I knew about the university. And interestingly, I so during that period, I think I went into a particular. I'm not sure what they call it over in Europe, but we call it junior secondary school, which is like junior high or grade six. So I got into that level, and there was this project that coincidentally MIT and one oil servicing company over in Nigeria was piloting in a way. So I got access to my first computer anyways, and it was running a full-fledged Linux. And I think the thing that really got me into like programming was the fact that for me, the way I saw the computer was just basically designed to annoy me in the sense that, I grew up around Windows, and I think I may have seen like a couple Macs, but like, we use Windows to play like GT, like some bunch of Grand Theft Auto. So I was really frustrated in the first 2 3 weeks because I was trying to install bunch of .exe files, and obviously .exe file doesn't work on Linux. Eventually, I started making research about how to create apps for Linux, and then I got into like really core um, you know more of like a software engineering framework, which if you're big into Linux, probably the GNOME toolkit. So I started building some bunch of apps because of my frustrations, right? So that's how I got started. Eventually, I would say started loving coding ever since then. So yeah, so that's how I got into tech.
So the thing that I love the most about your story is that all the GNOME developers out there, you can like take a deep breath and be relieved because all of those irritating, it doesn't work like Windows or doesn't work like Macs things, that's actually a feature, not a bug, because it makes people like Samson go into computer science to fix it.
Exactly right. Because it's funny because after I think I had to create an app, then I knew about like the crossover apps, like the wine that basically helps you to run some Windows applications. But then sometimes you get some problems with like the DirectX 11. I can't remember the plugin. The plugin that basically runs games on Windows. So I was trying to install that over in Linux. It was crazy, but at some point I think I got a workaround. But eventually that got me really interested in trying to create apps for Linux because the operating system I was using back then was based on Fedora. It's called Sugar, but it's on the back end it's Fedora. So under the hood it's just simplified GNOME in a way. So
Awesome. And then did you then go on to study?
oh yeah, I took some bunch of all like okay, I didn't go to MIT, but I got really close to the university. At some point, I wanted to go in person to basically go study at MIT, but things happened. But I was much closer to the Media Lab, and I think I built interestingly, the things that I would generally get as an MIT student. I think I got that away as an without being an MIT, which was being a great strong network of people. Got really great mentorship from industry leading people at that time. I think one of my mentors back then, she was leading the Google X, and then she moved to Facebook. And I think at that time she was leading the Oculus program. So just like it was pretty cool because I got really connected, and eventually I went over to MIT sometime in 2017, and it was quite interesting. Yeah,
2017. That
yeah.
might have been the year I went to MIT too.
Oh, nice. Mine was like late.
I went to the Free Software Foundation
Oh, you know
conference.
the FSF. Probably you should know Walter Bender then.
So
You know
wait,
Walter?
you were there at the same time?
No, but I was with one of the core folks. So Walter Bender is a really interesting guy. He used to be the president of the Media Lab, close to, I think, similar to what Richard Stallman. They at some point worked together. At some point, yeah. So,
Yeah, Richard Stallman invited myself and my wife there to talk about our music project. Interestingly, and
oh,
we
nice.
played a
That's
concert at the Free
interesting.
Software Foundation conference.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Concert.
I think I think you should check out Music Blocks. Like, so
Yeah.
there's a free software, a free project that we created way back, let's say like 5 years ago, called Music Blocks. It's quite cool.
Put the
Yeah.
link in the chat, and I'll put it up on the show as well. Thank you. Awesome. So, Didi, do you want to go next and tell me your story, like kind of in the same way? Like, when did the computer bug get into you?
Well, so there was no computer bug in my case. I think I studied. So, quick story, right? So, growing up, I wanted to become a lawyer, and I think the reason why I wanted to become a lawyer because I was very troublesome. I think I still am. Like, I never agreed with the norm, right? So you couldn't just tell me, hey, this stuff is white. Like, I want to know why it's white, or tell you why I don't think it's white. Like, I wasn't that person who just agreed with stuff because, or maybe I was like a small child and stuff, right? So it kind of makes sense for me to be a lawyer because I was always arguing most of the time. But so when I went to high school, I realized that to be a lawyer, you had to like really, really study and like look at dictionaries. I mean, that's what they told me though. Like, look at dictionaries, read a lot of books, read literature. And to be honest, I wasn't that person. I wasn't one who liked reading so much. To be honest, I mean, I loved studying. I loved reading to like pass my exam. But I wouldn't say I was like, oh, hey, let me go and read this book kind of person, or let me go and read this dictionary. I wasn't. So I decided to go into science and study petrochemical engineering. But then things happened along the way, and then I kind of found myself not wanting to study medicine because my dad wanted me to. And I'm like, hey, dad, I love you. You're the one paying my school fees and everything, but I do not like medicine. I do not like drugs. I do not like any single thing. But he was bent on me studying medicine. And in Nigeria, it's like it's kind of hard to disobey your parents, so to speak, right? You just have to listen to them. Like, I mean, they're the ones paying your school fees, right? They're the ones
Exactly.
feeding you. So
Exactly.
it's like it's either you listen to them or okay, you just maybe find your level, like go somewhere else or something. That's how it works. So I I applied to study medicine and surgery, but then the school I wanted to go to was a bit far from where we lived at the time. And my dad was like, "Hey, that he thinks it's too far for me," and because I was still relatively young at the time, and they wanted me to stay somewhere closer, so we had to try another university. But that university did not have medicine and surgery. It was like a private university, and they're like, "Hey, let me try to study computer science, right?" While waiting to switch to another university, like by university I mean college, another college that would have like medicine and surgery like a year after, right? So that's pretty much how I got into computer science. And I wouldn't necessarily tie being tech into computer science because, again, I feel like the college I went to was great, no doubt, but then things were mostly on the theoretical side of things, right? I mean, when they're teaching you how to code, they're not literally showing you, okay, this is a computer, you can do it this way. It was mostly on like a whiteboard. And even though that is cool, I thought it could be better. So I wasn't really like super interested. So the change and like the turning point for me, and also the point where I decided to go into tech was when I went for an internship at this company called Start Innovation Hub. And there at that company, I saw like people who were also young as myself, in like part of the GDG community, which is Google Developer Groups community. I mean, there were people coming to teach others about stuff, share their knowledge, who were actually really doing great in their careers. And I'm like, okay, this is actually not bad after all. Like, it's not as bad as I think it is in school. It's actually really, really cool. And young people are making names for themselves. And in that place, so I also had to learn how to develop Android application. And I was just so like fascinated at the fact that I could build something and I click on it and it could work. I was like, okay, did I do that? And it just dawned on me that if I could do that at like a short period of time, that over time I could, I mean, keep learning and like keep improving and maybe be able to build something like Facebook one day. It never happened though, but that was like one of the motivations. For
It's
me.
never
I
too
think we
late
all
to
wanted
build a
to use
Facebook.
Facebook at some point.
I know, right?
Everybody has to build Facebook at some point. It's like a
Yeah,
rite of passage.
exactly. Yeah, pretty much.
Oh my god. Yeah, so that was pretty much it. I would say that was like the exact moment that made me decide to be in tech. Just being inspired by people in the community, young people like myself who were like doing really amazing things, building websites, building applications. And I'm just like, I mean, if they could do it, then I think I can do it too. And I really do not regret that decision.
So I'm curious, out of all the things that you then programmed, including maybe those Android apps at the beginning, what was your favorite thing that you built, or what's your biggest flex as a programmer?
What would I say? I think this one is a bit more emotional, right? I think that's why I would say this. I mean, other ones are just like projects that you build because you're part of the team. But it was building a birthday application for one of my friends when I was in school. So I like built like a mobile application about her birthday and like put pictures about her, like other interesting things about our friendship. So it really made her happy, and to me, I think that was like a really amazing moment for me. It wasn't just me building something because I was part of the team. It was building something for someone I cared about and just seeing how excited she was. So seeing that I could apply the knowledge I had at the time to make someone that excited from like because of the technology I built was really special to me.
Awesome, thank you. So yeah, let's keep going. Shedrack, let's hear your story.
My story is quite funny actually, because one of the reasons why I got into tech was because of I actually wanted to do something, right? I grew up in the northern part of Nigeria, where we like there's no so much infrastructure. Like we are deprived of a lot of things generally because of how how much of a war zone that place really is. So growing up, my majority of people around me were either musicians, or they were dancers, or they were photographers. So these are like the three kind of people that I actually had as friends growing up.
That's not
So
so bad, by the way.
yeah, I know, right? So the problem is actually I couldn't fit in because I tried to sing. I don't have so much of a great voice. So I also tried to dance. I tried to do many things, to be honest. Before I decided to settle for tech, I actually did so many things. I made dance videos. I recorded
Oh,
songs.
you
Yeah,
should
I
send me
recorded
those band
songs.
videos.
I did. I know it's no longer on the
We
internet. I moved
demand
it.
proof.
Yeah, so I did all of these, and I wasn't just as great as how my friends were, and I wanted to be. I'm good at something that like is just my thing. My friends could sing, they could dance, like they had this talent. So, I think I watched. I think I forgot. I watched a movie actually. I watched a movie. I can't remember the name of the movie, but I think I wanted to be a hacker. So I was like, okay, this is really really interesting. Watching people dismantle like security systems, and it was really 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 interesting. So I tried to learn Python. because I googled. I think I had a phone that time. I had a phone. I was lucky enough for my parents to like give me phone like a mobile phone at a very young age. So I had the phone that time. Aside just playing games with it, I was just googling how to be a hacker like at night, because I've not said this anywhere, but I would tiptoe into my parents' room where the phone was when they were sleeping, take the phone and go back to my room, then there's this website I go to do read about hacking overnight. Then before they wake up in the morning, I go back to drop it and I go back to sleep. So that's sorry to my parents if they're watching this. Yeah, so that way I was able to like learn, okay, I need to learn Python. So when I came to Lagos, so I moved from the northern part, which is where I was, to this western part for school. I met a friend. I met someone in school when I got into when I got into college. I met someone and he was like I need to actually learn how to code to be able to do the course I wanted to study, because I wanted to study mechatronics engineering, which is like a synergy between electronics, mechanical, computer engineering, etc. So it was like the whole thing, right? So on getting there, he told me, which is actually, it was a lie. He lied to me, but I don't regret that lie. So he lied to me that I needed to learn how to code to be able to fit in. So I continued, like I went back to taking courses. I think I found Free Code Camp. I also found like this free intro to programming course on Udacity, thanks to the tech community in Nigeria, even though at that time was really, really young. Like these people actually made me what I am today generally. I mean, so I got those courses and I was learning. And at that time, when I got into the course, actually, it was a lie. Trust me, we did not do anything related to programming. We didn't do anything related to programming. And it was, but I still continued because of how interesting it was. I saw like people in the tech community doing stuff just like Didi saw. Saw people, I saw like really young people, like really, really passionate about this particular thing. I was like, yeah, sure, I'm already doing this. Why don't I continue doing it? And that's just it, man. That's how I got to where I am. I did not stop generally. I kept on networking with people in the community. That's why every single time I get the chance to give back to the tech community in Nigeria, I always try my best, because the people in the at my early stage, the community was actually there for me. I mean, people gave me free. So we had a way of exchanging videos, programming videos, when we get to when we meet at meetups. So maybe someone can download it, maybe illegally. Sorry, I mean illegally download the course video, and then put it on a USB drive, then share it with everybody, because we were students at that time. We could not afford like data to download this really, really expensive courses, and also we couldn't pay for these courses, so we had to find a way to actually do it. So someone will come, we ask each other, and like, oh, do you have this course? Do you have this course? I saw this course, I'm interested in it. So we like pass it to each other, and that's how it aided my learning, aside just using Free Code Camp. I mean, at some point, Free Code Camp was good, right? But I needed to expand my knowledge. I needed something more hands-on than Free Code Camp. So that's meeting people at conferences really, really helped me collect these courses and learn generally. So that's how I got into tech generally, and the story in total.
Amazing. So there are some interesting threads here. Both Samson and Shadrach saw some sort of movie, Iron Man and like hackers, or who knows, which inspired you. You wanted to be that person in the movie. You wanted to build an Iron Man or be the hacker, and that was actually the initial impulse. So. I have to tell a little bit about my story at this point, because there's so many points that I have in common, but yet you have to understand that I think I'm probably 20 to 30 years older than you. So it's all way back. It's like way back in the 80s. So my first programs that I ever did, I typed them in from a magazine that I would get every month. I typed them in on my Commodore 64, and when I turned it off, the program went away because I hadn't been able to afford a hard drive yet. The hard drives were floppy drives that were 5.5-inch discs like this. So when a year later, when I finally got the hard drive with the floppy disks, and they really were quite floppy, then I was able to save those programs. And like Community, there was no online, right? Like I didn't have a modem, and the people who did have a modem then would bring make all those funny noises, and then like you'd get like a text prompt, and you'd be in like a bulletin board where you could like maybe download some files, but downloading a file at like 8 to 16 bits a second is really frustrating. You're not going to download a big program that way. So it was very interesting how you guys described that. And there were also movies back then. There was that one movie. Hey, what was that movie from our generation? There's a
War Games.
War Games, exactly. Where like there was only one movie about like they had the modem, and they like put the phone down on the modem, and then they hacked into NORAD, which is like the North American Rapid Defense System, and they like ended up almost causing nuclear war, which was very inspiring, of course, to me.
Okay.
So anyway, I see a lot of parallels, but like a totally different generational flavor to that. Interesting. So apropos internet connections, and like there's a whole story about how I bought my first computer. I had to save money for a year to buy my first computer and all of that. What was it like for you guys? So when I was thinking, becoming a tech person in Nigeria, then I have to admit, and I don't even know if these are relevant questions these days, but I have to admit, I wondered, are computers expensive or hard to get? And internet connections, are they good? Are they fast? Are they expensive? Did you have great internet from day one? Was this a struggle? What's it like?
Yeah, can I go
can
first?
I talk? Okay.
Okay.
Can I talk about internet first before you? Yeah.
Okay, I didn't understand what either of you just said. You've got to start and go one at a time, but it seems to be a good question.
Yeah.
Totally, it is. So I just want to speak on internet, right? Internet is like the worst, really. So when I joined my new company, right, so let's say I joined on Monday, we had this session on Tuesday, like company wide. It was more like a hey, get to know yourself and just like get to know everybody in the company, because I mean, after working remotely for some time, it's hard to not know people in teams you don't work with. And again, this was just me joining for the first time. So we had this amazing speaker named Ed Vistus. He's like a mountaineer who has climbed different, I think the 9 mountains in America. Like, it was the first American to do that. So it was time to ask questions, right? And I had a question to ask. I had something I wanted to share. But I was like, okay, do I ask this question? When I want to ask this question, would the internet suddenly go off? Would I be known as that girl who just joined from Nigeria who has bad internet? Because I'm like the first person they've hired from Nigeria, right? And I was like so concerned about, okay, hey, should I not? So I get what I'm trying to say is that's how internet affects us, right? So you can spend lots and lots of money on trying to get the right internet, but when you want to use it, just when it's really important for you to use it at that moment, then boom, something happens. It either gets disconnected, or I mean, there's just like lots of stories behind it, but then I wouldn't it's honestly not the best, to be honest, in my opinion.
So that's really interesting, because what I understood from what you just said is that the chance of the internet failing you, not being there when you needed it, and maybe also having a perception that not everybody suffers from that all the time, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Actually made you feel a little bit like an outsider in this group where you were the only Nigerian.
The only Nigerian, the only African. So maybe it's them, right? Because everybody there probably doesn't understand what bad internet is. Or, I mean, even if they do, it's like once in a blue moon. But then this is something I'm constantly living with. And
Every
I'm like,
day.
like every day. So you're never sure. You're never like, okay, would it be good? Would it not be good? Because it has not been great most of the time, right? So it kind of makes you feel a bit, I don't know if insecure is the word, but I think some of the time that happens.
Now, sorry, this is actually when Didi is like how she is at the moment. Now, imagine how it was when like 5 years ago, or like when we
Exactly.
actually learned how to code. So when I was still in school, actually when I started learning how to code, I actually had to go to class in the morning, then wait till like 12 a.m. when everybody's asleep so that the internet does not lag. That's when I actually start learning. So I actually have to wait because there's no traffic on the internet. It's just like very few of us that actually doing something that would remain on the internet. That's when I
I
can
see a
actually get.
pattern here, though, Shedrack, sneaking into your parents' room to steal their phone at night while they're asleep so that you could learn Python hacking versus
I'm in
waiting
night
till all of Nigeria is asleep so that you could use the bandwidth.
I
Yeah,
know it's
yeah.
a lot.
Night is the best time to do anything in Nigeria. Trust me,
I
night is the
agree.
best time to do anything in Nigeria. So now
Okay.
just imagine how difficult it was for her then when like 5 years ago when the internet was not as actually as good as it is now.
It's
It
true.
was actually very, very painful to learn. Plus, it was also expensive. I mean, I do not have the amount of money that I probably have now to buy internet. And then I was either I was either waiting tonight to get like a very cheap bundle,
Yeah, the
or
night
actually
bundle.
go to or actually go to a workspace. There's this workspace that was close to my school. Then I actually had to go there. But the thing I had to do was to sacrifice classes for it because it's only open when I'm actually supposed to be in class. So I actually had to sacrifice classes at some point, miss some certain pop quizzes to actually go to that particular workspace and learn for free. So that's how bad internet was at that time.
So in America and to a lesser extent, but still a bit in Europe, there's a culture of like going to Starbucks and have a latte and spend a half an hour using the Starbucks internet to get online and do your stuff. And these days mobile phones take care of that, and everybody's got a great data connection to their mobile phone, and it's kind of changing in that respect. But even 3 or 4 years ago, it was still like if I was traveling, I would want to know what cafe or hotel lobby or whatever was nearby that had a good internet connection, free Wi-Fi, and I could sit there and I could just do my stuff. Is that a thing? Has that been a thing in Nigeria? Is it like that in any way?
It's like that like when you have money. Trust me, when you have money you can do that. Like when you are I think it costs about let's say $10, I think, to buy a coffee at a coffee shop, to actually sit there and use their internet, because there's a limit of how you can actually spend before you can sit at a coffee shop and use their internet. So that was out of the option for us. We could not even
Exactly.
afford. Yeah, we could not afford to
And there are not
even.
even a lot of places that even have coffee shops in Nigeria, to be
Yeah,
honest,
yeah.
except
So
you're in Lagos. So if you're like in other states in Nigeria, you probably wouldn't. I mean,
fine.
nobody even knows what a coffee shop is. They don't know, they don't care, and not a lot of people like coffee, like people in America, for instance. So it's not really a thing.
Yeah.
Samson just let me know that he's changing laptops, and we'll be right back. He can't blame this on the Nigerian internet. He's just changing laptops.
Yeah.
So how about computers? I mean, obviously, to study tech, you really need a computer as well. Describe your access to computers throughout your learning process. Was that also a scarce resource?
Yeah, so for me personally, when I was starting out, I was opportune for my dad to actually get me a laptop. So he didn't actually get me a laptop, he got a laptop for himself, right? He traveled to, I think he traveled to Lagos at that time, which is where I am at the moment. And a friend of ours, like a family member of ours, traveled outside of the country and brought in laptops. So he got a laptop from that his friend, and brought it back home. And that was the first time I actually ever saw a laptop or even played with a laptop. I think that was in 2015. Yeah, that was the first time I actually had access to a laptop myself. So with
So
time.
pause. Sorry.
Yeah.
I have to pause this story because I really have to let that sink in. Okay. 2015, my experience of the internet was that it was a full, modern, mature thing. And I was probably on my 8th or 10th laptop by then. And before that, I had desktop computers. And before that, before I even owned a computer, in 1990, for example, when I went to college, I could go into a room at the University of Michigan where I studied, where there were literally 500 computers, and always something was free. And if that computing center didn't have computers, I would go to the other one in the other building, or the other one in the other building, or the other one on the other campus, which was a short bus ride away. I probably
that's
had
nice.
several thousand computers available to me if I needed them at any given time to do my stuff. And that's back 25 years before what you're talking about. So in 2015, you hadn't seen laptops, and your dad had to go to Lagos to meet with a friend who had traveled out of the country to bring
Yeah.
laptops into the country. Okay,
Yeah.
no further questions. It was not easy to get your computer.
Yeah, definitely wasn't. Definitely wasn't. It actually took a while for me to actually convince my dad that you could actually give me this laptop because I could use it. I could learn how to code. So it took a while. It took about a year or two before my dad actually say, okay, you can use this laptop. Okay, this laptop is yours with occasional like confiscation. I mean, anytime I do something bad, anytime I'm naughty, he actually seizes that laptop, so I don't have any access to in the internet generally. So it was a lot of like a love-hate relationship within me and the laptop. It took a while. So I think I used that laptop for like, let's say 5 years or 6 years before I could actually afford to get a new one. It actually, I mean, I had cases where the laptop was like the battery was not good, that once there's no electricity, I cannot use the laptop. I have to plug it to the electricity to actually work. And there was a time where the keyboard was not working. I had to use an external keyboard. Like that laptop actually gave me a lifeline. I used the laptop till it actually just went off and did not come on again. That's how bad it was. That's before I got the next laptop I did. I did not get so many laptops in my entire career. I think I've used just 3 or 4 laptops totally, like since ever.
Wow. How about you, Samson? Was it equally difficult for you to get access to computers?
My case, I would say my case is a little bit subjective. Can you hear me? Is it good?
Yeah, there's some background noise, but go ahead and speak up and we'll hear you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so mine is a little bit subjective. One, I was part of a program that I got a computer from, and except from that, I don't think without that program I would have been here, because my parents were so pro, just like Edidion, right? I would have studied petrochemical, something that is so where I'm from, where I was born in the southern part of the country. You're kind of like forced to work in the oil industry somehow, because that is where you make the money, right? So despite my passion for tech, my parents were just like, no, you have to go and do the traditional work. So I got access to the computer through the program, the one laptop per child program.
What kind of program?
OLPC. The one laptop per child. You should be familiar with it. OLPC.
I might have heard of it. Could you provide a link for me so I can put it up? And OLPC, okay.
Yeah, OLPC. It's a initiative.
Oh, was it one of those green ones? Did you actually have one of those cute green ones? You had one of those cute green laptops?
Yeah. That's my first computer, actually. Yeah.
That's amazing. Beautiful.
Yeah, so I used...
And that was where you learned about Linux?
Yeah, that's where I started playing with Linux. Yeah, I started there, and eventually it's just kind of a little bit different. So I was with that computer for about 3 years-ish, and then I made my own money, and then I got my computer. So that's how it starts. Yeah, but no support from, because my parents still feel like I should do something else.
Thank you. And Didi, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't, I would say it was opportune. Not many Nigerians had access, but then I studied computer science, so I had a laptop. My parents did get me a laptop, and I mean, they understood that I had to use the laptop because I was studying computer science. But nevertheless, though, most of the times where I was like using my laptop to, let's say, learn something, there were always talks like, hey, why are you always on your laptop, or things like that, because they never really understood what it meant, or like the amount of time you needed to like really focus on learning how to code and stuff like that. But then I would
But
say that
for the record, by the way, my son who's 1 year old. He doesn't understand either that I spend all my time looking at my laptop. I sit there in the kitchen table doing my work from home,
Yeah.
and I'm just like staring at my laptop, and he's like running around and pulling my leg, and I'm like, what a bad role model I am for him. All he sees me do is screen time,
know.
screen time, screen time.
it's like I think it's just what we have to do. It's not our fault.
So
But
you
yeah,
didn't.
so
So you
for me,
didn't
it
really
wasn't.
use a laptop or a computer very much before actually entering computer science program. Is that correct?
No, I did. So my siblings, that's like my elder brother and elder sister, like went to college while I was still in high school, and they had laptops. So I was exposed to like laptops and computers, and even my dad's company at the time, they had like laptops that they had to use to work. So I think I was exposed to it at an early age, but not for coding. I was mostly playing games, watching movies, because I'm like literally obsessed with movies. So that was what I used laptops to do.
Virtual Cop. So there's this game.
Incredible.
Yeah. No, I was just trying to echo the gaming part, and there was this game. I think every Nigerian person, I think every Nigerian that's actually on a laptop, have actually played. So I think it's Virtual Cop. I think everybody did at some point. That game was, I don't know, was the pinnacle of gaming for every single person at some point in Nigeria. It was really, really nice that time. It was really nice.
So when I think about my own path through computing, I realize that just because of my luck and circumstances, I had a lot of proximity to many people who were involved in computing along the way, and therefore I had lots of role models and a lot of support. For example, when I was 10 years old, and I first started getting into gaming on the first computer that I ever bought for myself, which was a Commodore 64, which was also, the story's quite long, but was also my introduction to the stock market. I took all my birthday money when I was 9 or so, and I took it to the stockbroker in our town. We had stockbrokers back then, and the wife of the stockbroker played in the orchestra with my father. So I got an introduction to the stockbroker, who took my $120 that I had saved up over many years and bought 5 shares of Bank of America stock or something like that. And a year later, after an acquisition and a split and a merger or something, and dividends, I had enough money to buy my Commodore 64. So it was like, now when I look back at it, it's like, wow, that happened, but it's just like totally normal at the time. So I used my stockbroker to get my Commodore 64 in 1982, and this was the year or two before Sid Meier had written Civilization. Have you heard of Civilization? Are you too young to know Civilization? You're shaking your head. You're all too young. You have no idea. It's the first grid-based game where you like settled out into territories and built things, and it grew, and it changed gaming. You just have to trust me on that. Go Google, do your research. But anyway, Sid Meier, the guy who wrote that game, was our neighbor. And my dad gave his sister trombone lessons, and his brother was my piano accompanist when I played French horn solos. Sid Meier gave me 10 of his games at the time on floppy disks for the Commodore 64. And it didn't stop after that. A guy that I went to high school with was one of the original programmers for Napster. Okay. And through various things, I've met all sorts of people. I've met the guy who wrote the GCC compiler for GNU Linux. I met Richard Stallman. I met, people who have founded major tech companies because of the luck of where I was and when I was there. So that was not a way to flex or brag. That was a way of saying I wouldn't be in tech if I hadn't had these string of role models along the way. And I'm wondering, who are your role models? You've said a little bit about it, but what I've heard over and over again was the very young people who were already doing some tech and doing some cool things like Android programming that were your role models. Talk to me about the role models that you've had access to who helped you along your way in tech. Who wants to go first?
I could go first.
Okay, yeah, feel free.
So my role model would be, person who really like helped me stay in tech and just like made me feel like I actually had a place is someone named Hanson Johnson. He was the CEO of that company that I did my internship in. right? So like I remember, like I mentioned earlier, I saw like different young people doing stuff, and I was like inspired by what they did, and maybe tried to like help here and there. But then he was the one who made me a chapter lead for a community called Developer Circles from Facebook Uyo. And what that did for me was made me take up more responsibilities, right? Made me realize that okay, hey, I didn't have to be an expert in like the tech field, that right, to be able to like share the knowledge that I had. Because I always think of it this way: even if you've been in tech for 2 months, right? There is someone who has been in tech for just one day, and the information you have for that 2 months can be beneficial to that person that has been there for one day, right? So instead of thinking, okay, hey, I have to be like an expert of 5 years to be able to like share knowledge or try to help people, it's always important to know that no matter how dumb you think you are, you definitely know something more than a couple of people who are just joining that space. So he made me see that, and then it was always like, hey, Dija, you can do this. From like speaking at events, he made me speak at my first event. He made me teach a first workshop, right? He made me lead a community for the first time. And all of these things were things I'd never done before, but then he just trusted that I could do them. And I feel like when you have someone who believes in you, sometimes that belief kind of makes you also believe in yourself, so to speak. So yeah, I would say it's him for me. He has definitely been that person who really helped me feel like I had a place in tech.
Awesome, great story. Thank you. And did either Samson, Shadrach, did you want to add to that with your experiences?
So sadly for me, I did not have access to like someone that was like gonna push me, do this, do that, do this, do that. I did not have the access. But one thing that actually kept me going was looking at people that actually have their whole career together and just using it to motivate myself. So I don't know if you know Prosper. So Prosper is like I don't know, everybody's favorite in the tech community. So Otemiwa Prosper, he's a as a staff developer evangelist at Sourcegraph, and he actually motivated the generation of like my generation of tech people coming into that actually exists at the moment. So when I see what Prosper was doing, Prosper was like one of the first Google developer experts. He inspired the next generation. So he had a community called For Loop, where he brought like various type of people, various type of tech people to just come and talk about, like, this is a platform, come and talk about what you know, come and talk about programming generally. So he got us like got us the recognition that we actually deserve, because he was actually going around the world speaking. So Prosper actually motivated me. I did not know him personally. I didn't know him personally until recently. I don't know him personally. I did not meet. I only met him once, and it was really really good. Aside that, he just looking at him was just enough. Was enough to motivate me to continue doing what I was doing, to learn, to share what I know, to speak, and to just do things. Like Prosper really really had a lot of influence to my career, and that's just it. We did not meet physically, we did not have a personal relationship, we didn't do any of those, but Prosper was a really really great guy. Other than that, just seeing what he was doing just motivated me.
Awesome. I think I've got the his Twitter handle here. I'm going to put that up so that people can check that out. His Twitter handle is Bar Razor. So I like that. That's nice. No, it says Bar Razor. It's his Twitter name. The Twitter handle and the Twitter name are not the same thing.
Different.
Yeah.
The handle is Unicode developer.
Unicode developer, right? Okay, that's a big flex, right? Like if you've gotten deep into the weeds on Unicode, then like yeah.
Prosper is a great programmer. He's a really great programmer. He's good at a lot of things.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
Samson, anything you want to add? Role models?
Mine is just a little bit away because of the OPC project, most of my mentors all came from the Media Lab. I'm not sure if you heard about Cynthia Solomon. She worked with Simon Papert to create the Logo programming language, which is what Scratch is, I think, based on. And so yeah, most of the people that I look up to, beginning of my career, and people that I still maintain conversations, mostly came from Media Lab. but in terms of like community related stuff, there have been some awesome people, just like what Shadrach mentioned, some awesome people like Prosper that was doing a really amazing work. Because the way I started tech, I was mostly in my shell. I never kind of saw the need to. The only way I could collaborate was through mailing list and IRC. That's the only way I was doing community-based stuff until 2016, 2015, I think, or 2016, when I attended my first community events down here in Nigeria. Then I saw the huge impact, and I decided to stay that way. So yeah, so
So
kind of
what's
a
it
little
like
bit
with
different.
community events? Because that's actually my next question. Where I live, aside from the pandemic, I would be able to attend a tech-related community event pretty much every week, most days of most weeks. Have to make a choice between 2 or 3 of them, maybe on the weekends. If I include like cities that I can get to easily, in an hour or so. Like there's lots going on, and it's not even like anything compared to San Francisco or New York or London or something, or Paris, someplace like that. What's it like there? Are there a lot of community events? Are there meetups? Lots of different groups.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Go on.
no,
Okay.
yeah.
You think
Oh, I think there's a lag. Okay. Yes. The just like what you mentioned, right? Before COVID, there used we do have a lot of meetups, a lot, even a lot, to the point that you can't keep up with any,
Yeah.
because there's numerous of communities, um, some corporate affiliate programs like the GDG from Google, the DevC from Facebook. I think some from GitHub. I think there's some others from other companies like IBM, and then there's the kind of like a standalone one, like the one I myself, Eddie Young, and Shedrack were working on, called Open Source Community Africa. We have a bunch of events. I think before the COVID, we usually have like events week to week in different cities. I personally don't even have the bandwidth to attend all, so sometimes I try to attend the ones that are closer to my city.
Yeah.
That's the way we see it here. It's very large, especially in Nigeria in particular.
That's
It's
great,
very
but
large.
it sounds like a lot of them are also funded or sponsored by bigger corporations. Maybe some of them outside of
Some,
Nigeria.
yeah, in the early stage used to be, people always attend the one from the corporate sponsor like Google, Facebook, and GitHub. But recently, I mean, the Open Source Community Africa and other like Loop and other independent communities started coming really well, and and people have seen that, oh, you can actually start your community. If you all you just need to do is to find people that think like you and be in the same tech like you, because these bigger communities may not necessarily cover all the subject or topics that you care about. So that's one way to start yours, and just look for like minds. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you. So we're coming close to the end of the hour, and I just want to wrap up a little bit. And I just want to ask the three of you. First of all, thank you for all these testimonies, and you're sharing your personal stories and lots of interesting anecdotes. And it's fun comparing, my experience or the experience that I've seen from other people with your experience, and seeing how being born in a different place at a different time leads to a different path, but that we can all converge on something like doing developer advocacy for technologies that we love and we can all use. So that's fun. What else should we know about Lagos or Nigeria, and should we come there and come and visit your hacking groups and your your tech events? Would it be fun?
Yeah, sure. I mean, anybody that's come to Lagos for a tech event from like outside the country generally definitely have good reviews. We have like the best jollof rice in Africa. I stand by that. I'm not about to start a intercultural war. I'm just saying, right? I'm Nigerian, so we have this food called
Jello
jollof.
fries. What are Jello fries?
So it's like rice, but it's made in a way that is just like good. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just specific to different parts of Africa, right? And we usually have this debate on who in Africa actually has the best. So Nigeria actually has the best. And if you come to Lagos, whenever you come to Lagos, you can come and try it for yourself. And it's 100% has great reviews. Any single person that's come to Nigeria Lagos specifically, any part of Nigeria to come to eat jollof rice.
So now
always
I'm
look back for more.
curious, Shedrack, with all
Yeah.
this promotion of the Jollof Fries. First, do you own a Jollof Fries company that you might have stock in? Second of all, if I were to compare your Jollof Fries to somebody else's, let's say some other country's Jollof Fries that are not as good, what country would I go to compare them?
Ghana.
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 Okay, Ghana, that is it. The gauntlet is thrown. The Nigerian Jollof Fries kick Ghanaian Jollof Fries butt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You don't want to say that. You don't want to make that statement in person. In
Yeah,
some
don't
country.
go to
Right.
Ghana and
Maybe
say that.
That's not me. I didn't even know until 3 seconds ago what a Jollof Fry was. This is Shedrack talking, and you know where to find him, people. He's in Lagos. All right. Well, thank you, the three of you. This was very fun and lively, and I love the spirit that you all bring to tech. And I just hope you have great, successful careers and keep inspiring the communities that you touch with your passion and your guidance and your mentorship. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Sure thing, man.
Thank you for having
Alright,
me. I
thank
had
you.
an amazing time as well.
All right.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everybody. Bye, folks.
Bye.